Sonic Racing CrossWorlds is the newest Sonic racing game that is not the Mario Kart killer, but is somehow better than Mario Kart World. The big gimmick this time are the CrossWorlds, where at the end of the first lap of every race, the player in front of the pack chooses which CrossWorld you're going to go to. You end up doing the second lap in this alternate area before going back to the track you were at for the final lap. It's a really well done gimmick that adds a lot more spice to each race. So far, I do not see myself getting bored of it at all. The game also allows for a lot of tuning for your playing style with the card customization and gadget system. They both allow for a lot of freedom with how you want to play the game, with gadgets allowing you to boost specific stats or have you start with certain items, or one of my favorite gadgets, Rage Bait. The game controls great. The sound and visual design complement the gameplay to make it feel like a chaotic, fast-paced race from start to finish, which makes the game a lot of fun and it never feels tiring. There's a good variety of tracks, game modes, and music. The asking price may be a little steep as it's the same price as the upcoming Kirby Air Riders, but if you're on the fence, I'd say wait for one of those Sonic franchise deals to come around. Ridge Racer Type 4 is quite honestly one of the greatest games I've ever played, and it made me appreciate arcade-style racing games even more. The controls are superb, driving is really finely tuned, and despite the learning curve, the drifting is nearly perfect and allows for some really tight turns to be performed flawlessly. The game looks fantastic and holds up so well. Namco really knew how to push a PS1 to its absolute limits. The fact that it looks this good while running at a consistent 30 FPS is stunning. There's only 8 tracks, but they're perfectly designed with sharp and long curves that allow for the drifting to really shine, and there's always room to shave off precious seconds, which leads to an addictive game flow. The game even tells a compelling narrative. Yes, it's short, but because of that, it focuses on what it wants to tell without any filler, and it's a perfect example that sometimes less is more. Also, the music bangs. No other game is like Type 4, and even if other Ridge Racer games have more content, Type 4 is always going to remain my favorite. The game is available on the PS4 and PS5 storefronts. Do yourself a favor and pick it up when you can. Why'd they just call it Skate? Would it really be too much to add 4? Skate 4 is the newest entry in the Skate series since Skate 3, and it's quite the embarrassing one at that. For a sport so associated with counterculture, there's a severe lack of grit in overall skater culture compared to the past 3 games. You can't even add tattoos to your character as far as I know. There's just no soul in this title. Even Coach Frank, one of the best parts of Skate 3, got replaced by a boring and lifeless AI assistant. Well-known moves like Impossible to Dark Slides only being made available in post-launch updates stinks. These are tricks that have been in skate games since the very first pro skater game that we now have to wait a month to perform in a game released in 2025. The game just feels incredibly hollow. The open world is boring and the missions get repetitive, and once you finish the main quest line, there is quite literally nothing to do. Even if this game is free, pick up Skate Free instead if you have the means. This is a live service game at its worst. Stackflow is a roguelike that basically combines block stacking, row clearing gameplay of Tetris and score attack gameplay of Blart'S. It also has a lot of potential to be something great. Destroying blocks increases stack and clearing rows increases flow. These two will then multiply together and get added to your score. Your main objective every round is to beat the target score that only gets higher and higher as you go on. After every round, you get new blocks and perks that will add more variety during your run. You have a limited number of blocks to place per round and it's game over when you run out. This system makes the game feel unique, because instead of trying to set up to clear as many rows as you can, you have to try to make the best block formations for chain reactions and combos for insane scores. If I did have to nitpick, I do wish there was more content than what's here now, but I won't harp on the game too much for that because it is in early access and developers seem to be listening to player feedback. So maybe in a few months' time, this game could shape up to be something special, and I'm really hoping it does. This is a great concept with a lot of potential to be incredible if the developer plays their cards right. Being a Kirby fan is just way too easy. We just keep getting peak. Kirby Air Riders is a direct sequel to Kirby Air Ride in 2003 and it's pretty much a perfected version of the GameCube title. Unlike other mascot kart racing games, every rider and machine has their unique quirks and abilities for you to work with and master. This leads to you almost always tackling each course in a different way, which adds a lot of strategy to the game and it leads to an addictive flow. City Trial is the main star of the show. With City Trial, you spend 5 minutes upgrading your machine by collecting power-ups in an open sandbox and then duke it out with other players in one final stadium to decide who will be the overall victor. Essentially, Battle Royales before Fortnite made them popular. By quadrupling the player count to 16 and adding a lot more variety, no 2 rounds of City Trial are the same, and it's an absolute blast no matter who you play with or what your objective is. Everything in Kirby Air Riders comes together to make this title a racing game for the ages. Truly, anyone can get into it and have a generational fun time with it regardless of skill level, especially if it's simple control scheme. This is truly the best case scenario for an Air Ride sequel we could have ever gotten. I am not ready for when this band retires. Fortnite has went from a zombie wave defense game to a free-to-play 100-player battle royale to the video game equivalent of a child trying to make a story of all their action figures. Also, I'm only looking at the game for how it is today, so I'm not looking at anything before Chapter 7 Season 1. The biggest gameplay change is that instead of dropping, you now have to surf from the outside of the map to then land wherever you choose. Although you have less options to land to, overall this is much cooler. Part of me wishes it wasn't temporary. I'm less fond of being able to transform into bosses. When you defeat specific bosses, an item spawns that lets you turn into that boss, which increases your maximum health and gives you a few abilities. This can either make fights a cakewalk or really tedious, and neither of which are fun. New map is pretty cool, kind of a downgrade for the Simpsons season, but it's really not that bad. Whether you like it or not, Fortnite's still a big game, and it's going to stay that way. I started playing it long after its prime. While it's still fun with friends, any other game can make for a better multiplayer experience. Fortnite stands as one of the most important games of our lifetime, as it really did define a genre, but it's not really a game that aligns to my tastes.
Merry Christmas, Xbox. It's Usher.
I mean, this game's festive enough, right? Metroid Prime 4 was finally released after the 8-year-long wait from reveal to release, and was that wait well worth it? Yes. This game is some of the best gameplay we've seen in the Prime series. Transitions between forms are snappy, dodging feels a lot more consistent, and projectiles feel a lot better to dish out. One of my favorite control aspects will cost you $15 more. The Switch 2 Joy-Cons have a new mouse mode that allow you to look around and aim the arm cannon much better than the right analog stick could ever do. This game looks fantastic too, even on the Switch 1. Of course, the Switch 2 version looks better, given the better hardware, but if you're not willing to dish out the extra money and you can handle long loading times, then you're really not missing out. Everyone was up in arms over the inclusion of the Federation soldiers, but they add a lot of flavor and variety without feeling intrusive. I really appreciate their inclusion. This game hit every beat I've ever wanted. The 8-year-long wait was absolutely worth it, as this game is going to stand up there as one of my favorite games of all time. If you have yet to give the Metroid series a shot, let this title push you to do so, as in my opinion, it's Nintendo's best franchise.